People have always loved a juicy scandal. To be scandalized together is to agree on something and be brought closer by someone else's mistake. Studying past scandals can teach us a lot about the fears and morals of a society. Let's talk about one of Mexico's biggest scandals, El Baile de Los 41. The year was 1901. Mexico was under the rule of President/Dictator Porfirio Díaz in an era known as the Porfiriato. President Porfirio rapidly modernized the country, benefiting the wealthiest Mexicans at the expense of the infuriated middle and lower class. As class tension grew, risque new cultural trends also disturbed the people of Mexico. In 1901, Mexico was a powder keg of class struggle and sexual anxiety, ready to explode into a revolution. Enter Los 41, or rather Los 42. On November 17, 1901, 42 wealthy men partied in a private house in Mexico City, half of them in drag. The police, discovering the ball by accident, arrested everyone. Though 42 men were arrested, one man escaped. News of the shocking Baile de Los 41 was printed everywhere. The first time homosexuality in Mexico was recognized as an organized community instead of a rare anomaly. While most papers detailed the event, the publication that immortalized Los 41 in Mexican society was a mass-produced broadsheet including illustrations by Mexican artist Jose Guadalupe Posada. Known for his famous calaveras, Posada loved the scandalous and morbid, and his work is considered the soul of Mexican culture of the era. Shown here is the broadsheet consisting of Posada's illustrations and the accompanying ballad. While other news reports implied the homosexuality of Los 41, Posada states it right in the title, though homophobically.
Los 41 maricones encontrados en un baile de calle de La Paz, el 20 de noviembre, 1901.
The audience is transported to the party.
Aquí están los maricones muy chulos y coquetones.
Looking at Posada's illustration, we see the clash of the feminine and the masculine. Exaggerated curves and dainty feet contrast with short hair and macho mustaches. Posada depicts Los 41 as buffoons to be mocked, and shows that to be homosexual is to be a frivolous and docile fool. Posada's illustration and the ballad also emphasize the social class of Los 41.
41 lagartijos, disfrazados la mitad, de simpáticas muchachas. Bailaban como el que más.
The term lagartijos and the pictured coattails compare Los 41 to a caricature of the upper class, nicknamed lagartijo because he spent all day in the sun and wore extravagant hats and coattails. Posada's broadsheet reflects the beliefs of the Mexican public at the time, who viewed the event as proof of the lagartijos' depravity and corruption. Most shocking, however, is that the gowned man depicted in the very middle of this scene is supposedly Ignacio de la Torre, husband of President Porfirio's daughter. It was an open secret that the 42nd man who escaped was pardoned by his father-in-law, the president. The broadsheet depicts homosexuality as a vice of the wealthy, a consequence of modernization. Homophobia was used as a tool of the working class to argue that the supposedly superior elite were deviant and too feminine to lead Mexico. Though the offensive ballad and artwork attempt to suppress homosexuality, they still enthusiastically imagine it.
Vestidos de raso y seda, al último figurín, con pelucas bien peinadas, y moviéndose con chic. Llevaban buenos corsés, con pechos bien abultados, y caderitas y muslos postizos, pues está claro.
Trying to insult Los 41 with humor, Posada instead presents them as naughty rascals who are utterly Mexican. Despite its fascination and lighthearted attitude, the broadsheet still depicts homosexuality as shameful and tragic. The second illustration shows gowned men sweeping a public street in front of a laughing crowd. The ballad reads,
¡Qué figuras tan chistosas! Los maricones hacían, levantándose las naguas, y barriendo deprisita. Como era una calle pública, donde hacían la limpieza, se tapaban las carotas, con sus pañuelos de seda.
Though they didn't break any laws, the governor convicted all the men in drag. They had to sweep the streets in their gowns and serve the army. However endearing, homosexuals were still depicted as pitiable sources of entertainment to the Mexicans. Though El Baile de Los 41 is a tragic tale, it is still celebrated by queer Mexicans today. The event's coverage, such as the broadsheet, introduced the gay community to the public. It created talk, however negative, about the possibility of homosexuality. Los 41 and their courage are celebrated and loved over 100 years later.